All right, Joe. So we did this all season, and now we get to actually start talking about some football here, even in early March. Yes, please, God. I'm so tired of realignment. I'm so tired of all these different rule changes, NIL and Saban talking about the portal. Get off my lawn. Joe, tonight's topic, we're talking about the top 5 position coaches. Now, we talked about this in the intro. Are you seriously about to leave off Brian Hartline in your top 5 of position coaches?
I don't think it's ridiculous to leave off a guy who was an offensive coordinator last year and transitioned back. I don't think that's he wasn't primarily just a position coach last year.
Okay, well, the first person, and this is in no specific order, Joe, without question, a top 3 position coach in the country is Brian Hartline. It's not even remotely close.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think that he's a great position coach, and he's developed some elite wide receivers.
Position coaches.
He's number 6 for me. He's right on the outside, 6 or 7 for me. I think that there are other coaches who this past year had more impactful. And actually, I'd even go as far as to say they've had, in a 2-year span, all of these coaches I can name had impactful developments of some of the top players in the country, the recruiting of top prospects in the country, and then the development of younger guys that are going to be important players at their positions in the upcoming season. Brian Hartline is a great coach, and we talked about him last year. And I said that I thought he was going to be a great offensive coordinator, and I fucking whiffed on that. I was so wrong on that. Couldn't have been any more wrong on Brian Hartline thinking he could have been a good offensive coordinator. But I don't think it's unfair to rank some of these other guys ahead of him who have arguably done more with a little bit less. Do you want to hear my list?
I love you. I love you. Okay, I really do. There are probably 2 or 3 things where I ultimately don't see the position that you're coming from. This has got to be probably a top 2 works take.
All right, I'm going to give you my list here.
Okay? All right, give me your list.
This is, we'll do an actual ordering and we'll do the graphics for the other ones, but I think because of the wide range of opinions that come with this, these are guys that I think are the top 5 that fit in the conversation.
Okay.
Mike Mickens from Notre Dame, defensive backs coach. Cortez Hankton, LSU wide receivers coach.
With you there.
Todd Hartley, Georgia's tight end coach.
God damn it.
Jamarcus Shephard.
Have a lot of the same people.
Okay, Jamarcus Shephard, Alabama's wide receiver coach that was pulled from Washington. And then Travaris Robinson, Georgia's defensive backs coach. It's a lot. It's the same list, is it not?
It's the same list.
You had all 5. Wait, so you don't even have Brian Hartline in your list?
But I actually have Brian Hartline at my number 1.
Oh, I'm not that bullish.
Oh, I'm very much that bullish. And to be real with you, my number 2 is Cortez Hankton. And I don't know, Joe, if I really, and look, people are going to say Blake is just an LSU guy. I could make the argument that Cortez Hankton needs to be number 1 because he's going to have Ladd McConkey, Adonai Mitchell, okay? He's going to have Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas all in this draft. Oh, by the way, you know who was the lead recruiter for Brock Bowers?
Okay, it's Cortez Hankton.
So here's what might happen just in this upcoming NFL draft. Joe, he might have 4 or 5 guys that he recruited be first-round picks in one class. Now, it's not even the reason I put Brian Hartline, okay, at number 1 is because it's been more sustained in reference to receivers that he's put into the league. Development and putting dudes into the league. That's why I have remained him at number 1. Everything else that we had is in order. Okay, pretty much after that. The only thing for me, too, is I think Brian Hartline, from a recruiting and development standpoint, Joe, I mean, what else are we supposed to do here? Because not only is his guys producing on the field in college, they're producing at the next level at an extremely high rate.
That's fair.
I don't even know if he called the plays last year. If he was fully over the play calling, I do debate why Ryan Day's got a play card.
Okay, that's a fair point. And I'm not holding that against him. I'm not holding that against him.
Well,
But look, wait. The way that I look at this is I'm not putting three wide receivers. I don't want to put three wide receivers coach on this list.
there
I
it
think
is.
that he did.
There
No,
it
no,
is.
no, 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 no. But I think that Cortez Hankton, for what you just brought up, justifies him being ahead of Brian Hartline. You just talked about all of the guys that he's had influence on that are just coming out in just this year's draft alone. Malik Neighbors wasn't even like a high recruit. He wasn't like the number one recruit in his class. He took it was a low 4-star, mid 4-star. Malik
He was
Neighbors.
a 3-star all the way until he flipped from Mississippi State to LSU. They gave him a 4-star because he went to LSU. That's all.
So Malik Neighbors develops him into a top 10 pick. Brian Thomas Jr. wasn't even on anybody's radar until this past season, and he exploded onto the scene. And then there's been other guys that he's had the opportunity to work with that have rapidly developed. But Jamarcus Shephard, what he did and the development of the guys that he had at Washington, none of those guys were premier recruits. Jalen McMillan, Rome Odunze, and Jalen Polk, none of those three guys were top recruits in any stratosphere. They were a 3-star in that range. They were good receiver recruits, relatively good receiver recruits. He turned Rome Odunze into a guy that's going to be a top 15 pick. Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan are going to be day 2 picks. All three of them are good enough to go on to be productive in the NFL, but most importantly, they were all 1,000-yard receivers. That to me is a signal of really good coaching and development to take not premier top recruits, because your school can't necessarily attract those kids, and you got 1,000-yard production out of them in one season where all three of them had 1,000 yards.
Let me checkmate you right quick, okay, please.
Oh no. Okay, go ahead.
So last week we talked about who was going to be breakout players. Who was your number one player that was going to have a breakout year?
He wasn't my number one, but I did bring up Jeremiah Smith.
Oh, interesting. Who recruited him?
Again, you're acting like I'm saying that Brian Hartline sucks. I didn't say that. I'm not saying that.
I got to be real with you. There's a coach in your top 5 that you have to take out.
Mickens?
You got to take out Mickens.
Absolutely not. Mickens has been, anyone who follows coaching circles has been constantly brought up as a riser in the coaching world. The defensive back recruiting for Notre Dame has been the best position group outside of offensive line. And he turned Benjamin Morrison and Cam Hart into the better cornerbacks in college football this past year. Cam Hart is going to go on to be a top 100 draft pick in this year's class. Benjamin Morrison, he took guys that Brian Kelly's crop of DBs, that none of them were premier recruits, and turned them into elite football players. Mickens deserves to be on there as one of the bright young defensive minds in college football. He's going to get hired away as a DC somewhere.
All right. Hold on. Joe, you lost 3 games last year, and in one of those games I will give you, it would appear that Mickens, okay, what they did better athletically against a team like Ohio State. However, when the game was on the line, they gave up a 4th and 19. And you didn't play enough athletic teams, enough athletic dudes for you to come out here and tell me that they're really good. They ain't play no goddamn body. Joe, if they played against Washington with the receivers that they have, if they played against LSU, they would have gotten torched.
No, okay, that is.
You mean to tell me that Dane Daniels would not have torched that secondary? You're a damn fool.
No. That is a over assumption that they would have gotten cooked.
They would have gotten roasted. Do you ever go to Walmart?
No, there's no Walmarts in LA.
Is that true?
Yeah, you got to drive like an hour. It's probably was the biggest culture shock for me when I moved out here.
Okay, do y'all have convenience stores?
Yeah,
or like shopping stores?
Uh-huh.
You know how a lot of those like shopping, like Walmarts or whatever, have like rotisserie chickens? That would have been Notre Dame's DB room.
The ball knowers know of Coach Mickens. The ball.
Fine.
Those who know ball know Mike Mickens. Can we? But I know that I want to talk about some of these other guys.
Okay, let's go to a couple more.
Todd Hartley. Todd Hartley is probably one of the most underrated
Without
position
question.
coaches. His Brock Bowers development, again, the thing that I focus on, I maybe this is why I don't have Brian Hartline as high, is because I almost don't really give a shit if you go and grab the top kids and then you spit them out into NFL draft prospects. I like the fact that Brock Bowers wasn't like one of the top tight end recruits in his class, was not unknown, but comes all the way from Napa, California. And you bring him in and you turn him into one of the greatest tight end prospects that's ever come out into the NFL draft. But more importantly, able to attract Benjamin Urasek in the transfer portal. And he's able to go and recruit some of the best tight end recruits over the past couple of years. The depth in this room is unbelievable. It is the best tight end room in the country. And it's going to stay that way.
Has been for quite some time. Right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, it's not like this is new. I do agree with you there, okay, in reference to him. The only thing, though, is that tight end in that offense is very much featured. My question would be, if he was anywhere else in the country, would he have that same success? Because the tight end is so much featured in that specific offense. Joe, it's like a wide receiver going to play for Kalen DeBoer right now, or Cortez Hankton, or a wide receiver going to Ohio State. It's just because I think they're so featured and he's at Georgia, that's benefiting him just a little bit more than what people are giving that credit for.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. I also, by the way,
I don't like. So I'm just going to use even if he was at Notre Dame, Joe, like when Kelly was at Notre Dame, shit, even now. Okay,
they still recruit some of the top.
They still recruit some of the top tight ends. Why? Because it's prestigious for a tight end to go to that place. I just question, and so for that reason alone, like I think that there's guys at Florida State that should be on this, right? Like I think John Poppichis should be on this list. The DN's coach, by the way, was on Saban's staff multiple times. Okay, as an intern, he was an intern at LSU for 2004 to 2007. He went with Bo Pelini to Nebraska. He was at North Carolina for a damn good while. Then goes and look what he's doing with guys like Jared Verse, and look what he's doing at defensive end for Florida State. I do think that there's other coaches that might need to be above him, but the one thing that kept me there with him was Joe. I mean, he is killing he is the position, right? Like, yeah. I mean, and the only other tight end coach that I think that would compare to him is the Notre Dame offensive coordinator. That's the only other one in the country that's recruiting tight ends the way that he is.
I almost put him on there to mess with you. By the way, I misspoke. Brock Bowers was the number 2 tight end in the class. Misspoke, but nobody really.
Who was number 1?
That's actually a really good question. Is there a way I can?
That would be
Thomas Fedoni.
Who
is in Nebraska?
Oh, well, nobody knows who goes to Nebraska.
I have. God, this tight end class was terrible. None of these guys panned out.
And he got the best one. He just so happened to be 230 pounds.
But my point is though that no one thought that Brock Bowers was going to be like Heisman conversation good. No one thought that he could have been as explosive as he's been. I want to also bring up, though, you brought up, I'm shocked that Travaris Robinson's not your number 1 guy.
T-Rob is at number 3 for me.
I had him I did rank these, but I didn't want to share my ranking for some reason because I'm a coward. But I had him at number 1. The consistency.
Okay,
I mean,
well, let me tell you my thoughts on T-Rob. Joe, they got smoked a couple of times this year, and this isn't the first time. Now, DB at Bama is a little bit different because Saban has his hands all in it. He's gonna have his hands all up in that. Okay,
that I will accept. That I will accept.
So What is he like? Does he fall back to some South Carolina days? I mean, he's got Kirby, and he's going to get Kirby-type talent. My only thing now is he doesn't have Saban with him. All right? And Joe, to be real with you, he got cooked by Cortez Hankton. And to be honest with you, that defense, that DB room, okay, would be cooked by Ohio State. Just bottom. I love T-Rob. And that's the reason he's number 3. But he is getting massively out-coached from a developmental piece. Joe, who's the number 1 corner this year?
In the draft?
Yeah.
Nate Wiggins. Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, hold on. Nate Wiggins.
Yeah.
Correct?
From Clemson. And then Quinyon Mitchell.
Hold on.
Okay.
Where's Nate Wiggins from?
Clemson.
Phoenix City, Alabama, is it not?
I don't know. I don't know exactly where he's from, so that you're probably right. Let me look it up.
You can bean count me on that. You can't miss.
No, wait, he's Atlanta.
I thought he played in Alabama.
Let me see if I can find his.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering.
I think he might be. I think he's a Georgia guy.
Okay. Maybe I'm misremembering. That's on me. Forgive me. T-Rob has gotten some really good players, though. Like Caleb Downs is a big deal. But here's another thing. He couldn't get Caleb Downs to Georgia.
That's obviously a big swing and a miss. Big swing and a miss there. I will say, though, I almost look beyond the recent group of Alabama DBs that are coming into the draft, which they're about to have 2 first-rounders in Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terrion Arnold. They were unbelievable this year.
No doubt. I mean, I'm still why he's number 3 for me.
Best corner duo in college football this past year. But like I look at the development of a guy like J.C. Horn. Again, guys that aren't on the radar nationally, you have the chance to work with them. You turn him into a top 10 pick. That is really damn good coaching. He's brilliant coach.
I agree. I mean, I have to put down on him and why I got him at number 3, but I had to go, Joe. I had to go number 1, Hartline. I had to go 2, Cortez Hankton. I had to go 3, T-Rob. And I don't think that that's a slight at all.
No.
You better be glad. You better be glad I didn't put Bo Davis on that son of a gun.
I thought that you would have put Bo Davis on there, and we would have argued over that one. I'm surprised. I'm surprised he didn't end up on there.
Well, I would have, but I knew what would happen if I did. I mean,
yeah, too many LSU guys would have caused concern.
It would have caused the chaos, and you know why I didn't. But I'm going to be real with you. His position group this year is not going to be any good. I was out at practice all day Saturday. They got run over like a Mack truck. But
you lost all your top guys. Yeah, just as he's
that O-line is serious.
Yeah.
Write down Will Campbell and Emory Jones. By the way, they had a 6'8" right tackle and Tyree Adams clapping dudes on Saturday. Bottom line is, it might have not been Bo that I would have put up there either. It might have been Brad Davis, the LSU O-line coach. Bo Davis would be one thing. You better be glad I didn't go complete. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, you could have gone all LSU. I was kind of I was fully thought that there were going to be 2 to 3 LSU guys on this list. I'm proud of you.
Not Bo Davis. It was more Brad Davis that I almost put on there. I do think it's something to be said, Joe, that he has gotten. I think this will be year 4 where he's gotten at least 1 5-star offensive lineman. I mean, Joe, next year they're going to start their O-line, okay, where, Joe, he's going to have 4 dudes drafted. 4 guys are going to get drafted from next year's class, and that is incredible. He got 5-star in Weston Davis this past year. He got Zalance Hurd, okay, that went to Tennessee. The problem with that is I think that had a little bit more to do with money more than Brad Davis. Still recruited him, still brought him in. I could have had that debate. But the reason I would have put Bo was mainly because, hey, Texas made the playoffs this year, didn't they?
Yeah, that D-line was something.
What was their best position group?
It was the D-line. I will give credit for that one because there was a lot of rawness in the group that he fits in he'd be top 10. He would absolutely be top 10.
Fair. That's fair. Anybody else that comes to mind that maybe we left off this list before we get to Caleb Williams?
Not that I can think of. A lot of guys have moved around. I think that's probably. I mean, like I thought of like when I think O-line, like I immediately think of Sharon Moore, and obviously he can't be picked for this because he's a head coach now. There's a lot of movement, so it was
No,
a
the
little
number
tricky
one.
to
I
put this
mean,
together.
in a lot of fairness, the number one, O-line coach in the country right now that's just a position coach is Brad Davis.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. Bet online, where the game starts.